So,
4:30, let's open the meeting of the Duval County Council. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we have to start with we do anything, I guess, the organization of the board.
Okay, I will open it up with nominations for president.
I would like to nominate Mike Kitzner to continue as president.
Are there any further nominations? If so, I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations.
I move the nominations to be closed.
sorry.
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mike, will you take on the position?
yes.
Okay. Okay, then I will open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I'll nominate Ryan as vice president.
I will second that.
Are there any further nominations? If so, I'll take a motion to close the nominations.
I'll move nominations to be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Ryan, will you take the position?
Sure. Thank you.
All right, congratulations, both of you. I'm gonna turn the meeting back over. Do you want to switch seats or you just want me to do it next time?
I think next time. So we just get it back in order here with the districts in here and that. So if you don't want it sitting on the end of it with the at large.
So I'll just take you two, move you in and move you out. Okay, I can do that.
That's okay with everyone, that's how we were planning it, so. Okay, so, okay, next thing on the agenda here is the minutes of December 30th. I think there was maybe one slight change or correction there. On future days of the meeting, following meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes if there's
Now it's
change or additions.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
The first and the second, so discussion, otherwise all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's the first thing. It is wide. Are you ready? Yep. She got two items up here. Introduce yourself.
Wyatt Madden, Director of Community Corrections. Here today for an additional appropriation out of our CTP fund, as well as a request for funding for 2 new night shift officer positions. The first, the CTP additional appropriation is in the amount of $5724. It's for a 1-year subscription to Relias Training Academy. It's for training, online training for our staff members over at Community Corrections.
So, do we, so do you have that, are you shifting money or are you asking for additional appropriation?
Yeah, nothing's budgeted, so it's an additional.
$5,724.
Is that just for 1 year or is that for?
That's for 1 year. I think around 1,500 of that is for basically set up, and then 5 meetings for training for myself and Mitch.
So you need that going forward then as far as?
Yeah, about $4,200, I think,
Okay.
yearly. And we signed a 3-year contract with them. But I'll include that in my budget for next year, following year.
So where would that, Sandy, where would we get this money from?
Well, he's got a CTP fund that he did not budget
Okay.
and has money in it.
So you have the money in there?
Yeah, they're community corrections
Oh,
funds.
okay. I understand it now. I didn't.
And that'll, the funds has enough in it to sustain this?
There's around 50, 55, 57 in there right now. And, you know, when we house individuals from DOC, the state pays us to house those individuals each day.
It's just not a steady income that you can count on for salaries because you don't know if you're gonna house them or not.
Okay, I found it. Makes sense.
It's anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 a month, depending on how many people are there and how many days.
Okay.
So we would need to vote on that first, so. Further
Need a
discussion.
motion to.
It's been advertised, so
So I'll entertain a motion to approve that additional
I'll make a
appropriation.
motion to approve it.
Okay, Alex made a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
That was a lot of yeses, so.
I
Doug?
don't know.
Yeah.
that's who I wrote down because that's who I heard.
That's fine. I heard something. No, that's fine, so all, and then further discussion, otherwise all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So you want to go on with the two officers, then you want to explain that again? I know you're in December.
Right.
Let's just reiterate.
The commissioners did approve 2 new night shift positions last week, I believe.
Yes.
2 night shift positions. Basically, they have 3 on each shift due to PTO requests, trainings. What we saw was about a 33% shortage in night shift coverage. So about 33% of the time, we had day shifters or mid shifters covering night shifts for either for staff turnover or for new employee training orientation, which then pushed day shift short as well. So the commissioner saw the need. They did approve those 2 positions, and I believe today I'm coming to ask for funding for those 2 new positions.
We did not advertise it, so we'll have to advertise it for next month. I know that, I'm glad you're here, that they wanted to use some of the opioid money as a match,
Yes.
which is about 21,000 maybe. I don't know.
So could we, I know the commissioners can kind of lean that way too, use that money as part of this. So could we share that or use that up first and then have I'd like to
Well,
use.
21,000 with benefits, I mean, including benefits in it, won't go very far
Right.
for 2 employees for a whole year, so.
But I mean, I guess what I was thinking, if we would do it, use that up, utilize that first and then go into CNR money.
When we met last week, what did you tell me that was gonna be going away? I'm having mind slippage on that. But you didn't think the council was aware of it, and I wasn't until you told me about it. There was a fund or a grant that we were is that what we're talking about, the opioid grant that you mentioned?
The Lilly grant.
Maybe it's.
We are on year 5 of the Lilly grant.
Okay.
That does fund a full-time case manager right now. So those of you aren't aware, we have a 5-year Lilly grant through the Community Foundation. We're on year 5. And basically anything that was covered through the Lilly grant is now going to be covered through the CNR tax. So there would be another position in 2026 covered by the CNR tax for 1 full-time case manager.
I mean, that's the way I feel, I did a little bit of, we sat down a couple times and looked at this and this is something I thought we would start utilizing the CNR money for. I mean, that's kind of, when we passed the tax, that's what we were hoping to, utilize it at your facility mostly.
Mhm.
And then in the future here, we may want to do more, with utilities and that kind of thing that operate that facility. So, I mean, I'm kind of in favor of using CNR tax. I'm in favor of giving the officers, I think, we spend a lot of time. I think he's come in here how many times now? I think it's a risk not having that additional person on the night shift, especially. So, comments or anybody else wanted discussions?
Where are we gonna get this money when the CNR tax goes away?
Well,
That's just my concern on putting dollars towards something that the position's not gonna go away, but the taxes. So that's my only concern, that we don't have a plan going forward after. And I know it's a while away, but I think we need to be prudent on starting to formulate plans with what happens after. Like, the Lilly grant went away. We had a plan, it has to be funded somehow, so I just think we need to come up with a plan for that as well.
I mean, that's a very legitimate point in my side, I think that's a great point. I know the other entities of the county want to pass a public safety tax. And that's what I keep telling them. I don't want to pass a public safety tax because that's something that could pick up, in years to come, that when we're going to really need it. And that can be utilized then. I mean, that's a thought. I'm not saying that's the answer, but that was some thinking anyway. Because now we pass it, I don't know if as a county, we're not in favor of it as a board. I don't think, we voted to cover, show of hands a couple times, that we're not in favor of passing it, but I think in the future, if something like this, we need that to operate, that's gonna be one way to look at it, income tax.
How much longer do we have on the CNR tax?
17 years, I think,
Somewhere
maybe
around.
16 maybe now. I mean, we finish this year, it'll be 16. But,
And that's just such a great deal of time away. And I completely, I agree with what Doug and what Mike are saying, but you can't predict the future, like anything, but you have to just make the best decision of what you know right now, and it is a great length of time. And I have to believe that there's probably going to be something that none of us are even aware yet that's probably going to come into play at some point. So, but I agree, it feels bad doing that without feeling like we're covering ourselves for later on. So I appreciate that.
But if we,
Yeah.
we are.
Year 4?
Meaning that I'd be in favor of using those monies now, is what I'm trying to say.
I think, some of the, some of the bills that are in the legislature can drastically change the way, income tax and property taxes are going to be issued to us, or, we're going to have to utilize, so any other discussion,
I mean, don't you feel like we're kind of on the low end of what we're charging the participants? We have a little bit of cushion there if we had to do a 10-20% raise for revenue generation from those guys, girls.
When we raised it in 2022, I felt like we were right there in the mix of things, at least being comparable to other community corrections agencies. We did raise it again when the board voted to approve GPS units on all of work release, just to cover the cost of GPS. There are agencies that do something a little bit different with their fees. I would not be in favor of raising fees anytime soon. I know there is leadership in community corrections across the state is trying to get a budget increase for the grant. Has not been increased the past 10 years. So we'll see where we're at with that, in the next few years. As far as grant funding more things. But we also, we have a capacity of 170, and right now we're sitting right at about 75, 80, so there's room to grow as well.
get space in the facility is what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
How much does that fluctuate?
It stays pretty consistent, around 75 to 85. Early last year, we had a little bit over 90, but that's kind of beyond our control.
So, if there's any further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve those two officers out of these utilizing CNR work. And we just have to have a show of hands at this point, I think, because we got to have five. So, looks like a total consensus.
He and I will have to work together on how much.
I have it right here.
Okay.
I
I
can send
mean,
it to you.
because, I mean, the two salaries and the benefits.
She's got plenty of time tonight, she'll work late.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay,
So, do you have any other
I do not.
discussions with the board? So, appreciate you coming in.
So you're okay with using the lit CR and the opioid money together?
Yes. I'd like to- Again, if we get that utilized, I'd like to use it first, get it spent first.
Well, what we'd like to do is either put it towards one position or something to get it.
That would
It's
be-
too hard making them, splitting it and all that. I mean, you just want to, one position here, one position here, and use it up and then switch it over.
Yeah, that's fine. I know it complicates matters, but
It seems like it's really complicated out there already with the grants and
Well,
all the other.
when you split positions, it does get complicated. Split pay.
Jenny, are you ready to?
We are, yes. Good evening, I'm Jennifer Lamford, I'm the Chief Probation Officer here in Du Bois County. Tonight, the hat I'm wearing is for Du Bois County ARC, which is Du Bois County Advocacy for Recovery and Prevention, used to be the Du Bois County Substance Abuse Council. And April Jones is here, she's our coordinator for our group, and she knows I struggle, I still call it Substance Abuse Council. I can't get past that, like, it's just too many years. But what we're here tonight for is, in working with Sandy, we need appropriation approval to spend the monies that were collected last year when individuals paid their court finding costs. Many years ago, like early 90s, the governor created drug-free community and created local LLCs, and the monies that are collected, $200 countermeasure fee to combat drug in local community is where the funds come to fund our local council. So that's the money that we're talking about tonight. The total that we have in the fund from 2024 is $49,699.01. We take that and we divide that between 4 categories. So each category will have $12,424.75. And April's gonna pass out some information here. The 4 categories, we put that in as prevention education, treatment intervention, criminal justice services, and then discretionary. So around August, we start accepting grant applications, and in September, our executive board meets, and each grantee usually typically gives a little 2 to 5 minute talk and lets us know what they want to use the money for. And then we do our best to try and put the money where it's most needed. Last year, we had double the amount of applicants and double the amount of money requested than we have available.
In 2023, we had 14 applications. In 2024, we had 27 applications.
So you can see on that second sheet, she gave you the different entities that were awarded grants last year. It's everything from education in the schools to help with substance misuse. There's mental health monies in there. There's law enforcement gets money for like specialty items to use to combat drugs on the other end. And then there's also money for resources once they're arrested and convicted to try to rehabilitate so they don't get back out and do the same things. So it's a wide variety. And pretty well-rounded who was funded last year. I'll let April, maybe, I know she gave you a paper there. She kind of wanted to go over what the substance use, the advocacy ARC did in 2024. Like it was a lot more than what I think done previous years. So
In 2024, the ARC, formerly the Substance Abuse Council, took significant strides in strengthening our mission to combat substance misuse and promote recovery in our community. The renaming of our council was to better reflect our commitment to both advocacy and prevention, aligning with our growing role in funding and education. Some of the major initiatives in community engagement we did last year, we held our first annual Live to Rise Fund Run for Recovery. This event was successful. It was held during an actual hurricane. So for the turnout that we got, it was pretty good. We raised $767.90 for Sober Duco, which is a free CrossFit gym for sober individuals, providing a healthy outlet for those in recovery. We held our annual candlelight vigil and butterfly release, continuing our tradition of remembrance. We held our annual vigil, allowing families and friends to honor those who lost to substance misuse. The butterfly release was a powerful addition, symbolizing hope and healing.
That continues to grow each year. I know the first year that we did it, probably 7 years ago, we started here in Jasper at the Riverwalk. We had maybe 25 people. Each year it's gone up, and we've averaged between 100 and 125 now. And we move around in the county. The Fayetteville, we're gonna do Boyd, South, Parkside, like Huntingburg, Jasper,
We'll be back to Jasper.
and we'll probably be back to Jasper this year.
And then our prescription drug take-back days, we helped fund and facilitate 2 countywide take-back events, ensuring the safe disposal of unused medications and reducing the risk of prescription drug misuse. I was personally at both of those last year. It was amazing I could not believe how much prescription drugs came back, including fentanyl. We even got back to us that was taken to the state to be disposed of.
It's kind of sad,
It is.
the amount of drugs that are out there in our community.
It is, and that is countywide. There's locations set up all throughout the county for people to come and dispose. Our 2024 grant cycle saw a significant increase in applicants, demonstrating the growing need for prevention, education, and recovery resources in DuBois County. The council worked diligently to allocate funding to impactful programming, including drug test kits and prevention tools for law enforcement and schools, substance abuse education initiatives, support for treatment programs and recovery resources, and youth-focused prevention efforts. While we carefully allocate our available resources to support a wide range of impactful programs, the high number of funding requests reflects the growing need for prevention, education, and recovery initiatives in our community. As we reflect on 2024, we remain committed to expanding our impact in 2025. The increasing engagement from our community members, organization, and law enforcement demonstrates a collective dedication to reducing substance misuse and supporting recovery efforts in DuBois County.
Well, thank you, that's,
Are there any questions about what the council does, any
could you, I
information?
know you said the total amount of dollars it's split 4 ways.
Mhm.
What was that total? Could you give me
So-
that slower?
The total is $49,699.01.
Who gets the
49,000.
Usually, I know Sandy usually divides, I think she puts it in the discretionary.
I normally stick it in with discretionary, but I mean, sometimes you have 2 pennies, sometimes you have 1.
I know, I just have to ask.
Well, it happens every year, so one of them has $12,424.76. The other 3 have $12,424.75. So you're right.
And the discretionary, we have the salary, the benefits, and then whatever's left over gets in the discretionary. And then they can kind of grant it out to wherever they see fit.
Last year, we used it to buy butterflies for the release, and
And some of our rebranding, we had to get new, like tables and things like that, because we do go to a lot of events as well to pass out materials and those types of things as well. And our rebranding was to really show more of what we do as a council. Like when I was at the Home Expo last year, many people just walked right past and thought we were a recovery, almost like a meeting people could come to if they needed help. People didn't know what we did as a council. So really our renaming and our mission was to show more of what we do. So people were more aware of that we are a funding, we're out trying to support these different entities.
So this is a local name, it's not part of a national organization.
local to DuBois County, and we only fund DuBois County entities. Like we won't fund outsiders coming in like other counties. It remains here, it's funding here, and it remains here in our county.
And our meetings have been growing and growing and growing every month, just in the last year that I've been. One of our meetings in November, I believe it was, we almost needed a bigger room. It was overflowing with people.
Nancy Eckerly is on our executive board, I believe, and then she presents like what the city is doing and the chamber's doing. When a hospital comes and tells us what they're seeing in the ER, like different substances, I typically report on probation. Wyatt sometimes reports on community corrections.
Logan Jones for Jasper Police Department reports on what he's seeing.
And we have treatment providers that report what they're seeing, like Spring, and then like the local McKinsey reports, like faith-based, like CEO, the group, churches and works.
Do neighboring counties that just have something similar to what this is? Okay, just a
Some
different name.
aren't as active as ours and some are more active.
We actually, last year had 3 separate counties reach out to us after our renaming and rebranding that we're asking to see our bylaws.
Sure, I was wondering if you all had like sort of, because, things are regional, the nature sometimes, use
So
of different
because our
things.
social media is also growing, those counties are starting to reach out, wanting to attend our
Great.
meetings to see how we operate and the things that we do, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Each county is set up to have their own local LLC. Now, it depends on how many individuals are arrested and then are ordered to pay a fine and cost, that includes the countermeasure fee. That's where the funds come from. So if they don't have a lot of arrests that involve substances, they may not have a very big fund.
And then we are required by the ICGAI to do quarterly reports and a yearly annual report that has to be turned in every quarter. That includes our budget and our, where our
So
grants.
yours
are
is an
going.
LLC then, is what you were saying?
And we meet the second Tuesday of every month at
That
the
was the
Jasper
question I
Public
was gonna
Library.
ask.
Yeah, at 11 a.m. Everybody is welcome to attend.
Meetings are open to the public.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information that kind of flows, and like Logan might talk about what Jasper City's seeing, and that's kind of front end of what I see on the post-conviction side of what individuals are using, so I know kind of what's coming running and what they're gonna start testing for. And so yeah, it's good. What the hospital sees when people come into the ER. So
Is there any money you can get from Purdue Pharma, or is all their money tied to the opioid settlement?
I think it's tied to the opioid settlement. This is very specific how it's set up, and it only comes from that countermeasure fee on convicted individuals for drugs. I don't know. I feel like maybe Vanderbilt County has created their own nonprofit and they take donations. And I don't know if they've tried maybe to go after some of them.
Their nonprofit though is just to hold events like like the Live to Rise, those types of things. Whereas we tried to get as many donations as we could from like businesses, local businesses, not money, but items to help. Yeah, so we didn't have to spend any of our money on it. We did just for the rebranding efforts, but we tried to get as much community donation as we could. But that's why Vanderbilt County uses their nonprofit.
Jasper City did approach us at one point to try and work out how to give us their, I think it was their opioid money, to see if we could grant it out when we grant this, but that didn't work out for whatever reason. It was,
They were
Sandy probably knows a little bit more about that, but
I don't know a whole lot more, I just know they couldn't do it.
But then you also fundraise too, like in the example of this fun run. Okay.
So that was all money that was just raised during that and then just presented to them. That didn't go anywhere near our grants or anything.
DC Multi-Sports, I believe
Helps
was the one that
facilitate
helped
that.
facilitate, collect the money, and then,
And the
so it didn't
insurance.
go through this group.
Oh, got it. Okay.
They just helped provide the event, but they didn't do any of the collection.
Okay.
That's a good group.
So I have two additional appropriations. One's for personal services for the first fourth of $12,424.76. And then I have the other services, which is their other three, $37,274.25.
And Sandy, you advertised that already? Is that
It's
correct?
already advertised, I just need
The appropriation approval?
Do the two different ones.
The only reason I split them is because they're two different categories, personal services and other services. So you can do them together if you'd like.
Any other questions, I guess, first, or discussion for January and April? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve just both of them. Let's do both at one time.
Same. I'll make the motion to approve both of the 12,000 and the
37.
So we got a first. And a second, Meredith is second, so any other further discussion? Otherwise, all in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you very
much.
Now, I do need a salary ordinance to go with that. She doesn't make the maximum, but we have a salary ordinance for $6,196.50. The maximum would be $22.95 per hour. She works 22 hours per month, and there is an additional 6 hours when they, during their grant period.
Is there any issue with that? Salary ordinance of one of the, I'll entertain a motion to approve that salary ordinance.
I move so.
Dean's made a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
Sonia has seconds for the discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
And the reason we can't budget this at budget time is you have to have the December 31st cash balance before you can divvy this out for the next year.
Okay. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chelsea, are you ready?
I sure am, if you guys are. Yes, it's been a while since I had the pleasure to come and see you. I'm here today because we did have to sign a new memorandum of understanding with the Center on Fifth, and that included an increase in our rent. It's been flat since we signed that in '23, but we had to get a new HVAC system this summer, and that has caused the rent for that room to go up. So it is now $1,000. So I am requesting $2,400 more to be added to my rent line item. That's 001130305, if you want to know.
Which is county general.
$2,000 a month more or?
200.
It's 200 a month more, 2,400 total for the year. Yeah. So it's $1,000 total per month versus 800.
So can you, for the council, I know you went through this a little bit with,
Yeah.
with the attorney and the commissioners, explain a little bit how that works or why the increase, so you're responsible for kind of like maintenance on the building if the HVAC system went off? Is that what you're saying?
It's a shared cost. So because we are a tenant of the room, we're assuming that shared cost, but if we leave, it would pass on to the next tenant. So the total cost for the HVAC was split in half. Half of that was absorbed by SWICAC and the building and fees from everybody else. Half of that has been passed on to the room itself, which is where the $200 increase, she divided that over, I think it ended up being 5 years. She tried 3 at first, and I was like, oh, that's a bit much. So I think she divided over 5 years. So that's how we settled on the $1,000.
The cost was divided. Okay.
Yeah. So it's the
Like
total.
proportionately to those tenants that are in the building, I mean, it's not like in half, right? Because you don't take as much space as others, I guess.
It's in our room. It's not a building wide. It's actually in our room. It's
Is it a PTAC unit? Is it in the
It's
wall?
one of the things that hangs on the wall.
Can you see it? Like,
Yeah.
It's a PTAC unit, right?
I don't know what it's called.
Supposedly costs that much money.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems like a lot of money, but
Would be over 24 grand for the whole unit.
it would be?
Well, I mean, if you got a $400 a month times 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, 24,000.
That seems like a lot.
you're the resident or the.
I mean, it's
real
just a
estate
PTAC
guy.
unit. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's gone up.
I think our share was 13,000.
Oh my God. I mean, I just did a whole roof replacement for less than that. I don't know.
Didn't you go look at this place last year when she was moving? Or 2
A couple years ago, yeah.
It was still the original HVAC.
But I don't know that my memory of it, I don't think it's an HVAC system. I think it's a box, like what you see in a hotel almost, but it's up on the wall. It's a PTAC unit, right?
Yes, that
It's like a mini split.
A mini split. Yeah, and those are like $2 grand. I guess I don't understand, but I don't, that's mind blowing to me.
And maybe they replaced them for all the other units.
I do know there were some other organizations that did also receive some, because basically all of the units went out all at once, other than those that were replaced during the remodel. And there were some organizations like CARES that they just paid for theirs outright because they had some grant money left. I don't know what everybody else is doing as far as, I mean, they're paying for it some way. I just don't know what that agreement looks like with
It's like,
So after the 5 years, the rent should go back down $200 after you take.
I have no idea. That's a good question.
It's not, I'd say it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, is your relationship there good? Everything is good, it's just rent's just gone up?
The relationship with Tammy is good. It is definitely a cramped working space.
And how many square feet do you have right now? I don't remember.
I have no idea off the top of my head. I could tell you there are 6 of us shoved in that one, what used to be a classroom. So if you can imagine elementary classroom, there's 6 of us in there. So if 2 of us are on a video call at the same time, somebody has to leave because it's too noisy when you try and unmute and talk. They can hear everybody else. And so it's not the most convenient working atmosphere. It's doable. It's better than where we were as far as safety concerns. You know, we definitely don't feel unsafe like we did in the other place, but it's not prime office space.
Are you gonna utilize the health departments, you know, the new facility or the new room they have, the training,
Yeah.
kitchen, you know, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, we actually have a series starting February 8th is our first class. It's called What's on Your Plate. It's a food science class for 6th to 9th graders. And there's 4 different classes, so we're going to use that space with them.
So thanks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have another kitchen opportunity.
It's got a nice,
Awesome.
it's a kind of a nice facility.
It is. I'm very excited for
Is
it.
that the one you used to do up at Northeast Du Bois School?
We have not done this one before. I know they baked cookies up there with Lori did that. I'm not sure.
Similar enough.
So, before we go further, I guess, Sandy, was this advertised then?
Yes, it was.
So we just need to approve it.
Yes, you do.
So, any other discussion for Chelsea or any other questions for her?
It'd still be hard to get anything cheaper.
Well,
And
you know, you spent, you know, when we did spend money as a county moving you in there and you know, the other things that always go along with moving.
Yes.
So I mean, that seems like we ought to try to make it work at least until we find, we have a better place. I don't know. The answer is, I mean, like the thing that scares me, like I think the commissioners were worried too, it's a month-to-month lease.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, they could give you a notice and then, you know, you might be up here in this classroom, you know, in this room, I don't know where we go with you.
Yeah.
You know, that's not
Yeah.
easy to find space.
It certainly is an issue. The other thing that arose again, which it arose in 2022, of the issue of not being in a county-owned building. And when we have these big ice and snowstorms, we're at the liberty of our landlords to clear our surfaces so that we can safely get into the office. And, you know, that didn't happen on Tuesday, was that the 7th? That didn't happen on the 7th. And so I didn't have a safe working environment for my county employees because I'm not in a county building.
Right.
So they, when we discussed all this, were very on board with investigating what the county might be able to do as far as asset acquisition of a new building that is county owned, to either house us and other people, you know, whatever that might be. We're completely open to discussions, but it seems like it's resurfacing continually, this issue of, you know, I can't just call county maintenance and have them come over and fix something. I gotta hire an outside person
Sure.
to do that kind of stuff.
You have any office downstairs already?
Prosecutors using it. I got the basement.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, it's a good.
something to
this
think
is
about.
not, You know,
Would that be
unusual
enough space?
storm because, you know, you walk out, you can't.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Other
But
buildings here
I've
on the
already used
square,
the office.
you know, you couldn't even say,
Yeah.
you know, it's just ice, it's tough.
You had that conversation, I'm not.
I'm just curious, but
No.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But I think
So,
we just have to keep on it. It's hard to, you know, pull something out of a hat that's gonna fit perfect, and
We're not in a hurry.
if it's working temporary.
Yeah.
I think I would make the motion to approve the $200 increase, making it $200 a month and $2,400.
Okay, so we got a motion on the floor. Need a second. Meredith has seconded, so further discussion. Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Now, I think they did put in there that 60 days now.
Yes.
You did get that change.
Yes, we have a 60-day notice, on either end. So if we choose to leave, we have 60 days, that we have to pay out, and then our contract is void and vice versa.
Thanks, Chelsea,
Yeah,
for coming
thank
in and
you.
explaining it to us.
I'm trying my best. I'm no pro at this stuff.
The next additional appropriation I have.
Okay.
Last meeting, we talked about the security officers, how they weren't bumped up, and you guys did the salary ordinance to pay them what they were being paid with their 2% raise. So now I have additional. The first one is $2,376.92 for the difference in the salary that they will be getting. And then the benefits comes out of the commissioners, that would be $448.08.
Can we do those together? Are they separate?
I would do them separate because they're two different departments.
So let's do the security officers first. I think we've done it. So I'm going to entertain a motion to the additional appropriation money for that.
I'll make the motion.
Ron has made a motion. I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Sonia has seconded. So further discussion. Otherwise, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
And then the benefits come out of the commissioner's budget, $448.08.
I'll entertain a motion for that, the benefits out of the commissioner's budget.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Dina has made a motion, Ryan has seconded, so further discussion. Once all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed?
The last additional I have is every January, you guys decided to do the school bus camera safety, safe school program. This last year, we collected $140.
Is that in fines?
Yes.
That's like one person.
Well, we were thinking, when we passed that a few years ago, we thought this would be thousands of dollars.
Well, hey, maybe it's working.
So
that's a good
we will
news.
divide that, send it to the 4 schools. They have to hold it until they get enough to even buy a camera, so.
All right, so $140 for your schools plus cameras, so.
I don't know, you wanna shoot
that?
I would love to second that.
I didn't hear the,
Sonia made a motion and Meredith has seconded. Further discussion. So otherwise, all in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? See, I don't know, we have a big discussion, how we want to split that.
that's all the additionals that I have.
Yeah, on the, Sonia stuff. We have to write all the service.
Right, yes, goodness.
Move on. On the, I guess the next item for discussion here is the courthouse HVAC system proposal. I sent this out to the council. You know, we had, I think when we looked at this originally, you know, it kind of went way over what we were anticipating. Maybe we were thinking 150,000, you know, we thought it would be closer to that number. When we got into these bids, you know, we had the 3 proposals, and they were, you know, quite a variety of numbers. They were from, you know, $257,000, $236 was the low bid and the low proposal, and the Johnson Controls was $555,000 for one. So, looking at it with the maintenance personnel, I think what we overlooked there is all the fans and the kind of things in the attic that needed this same type of control work or had to be rewired. So it you know, it just went a lot more money than we thought. So I mean, this morning the commissioners kind of agreed on moving forward with it, pending the council appropriating this money. So again, I think this is a little different than a hard bid process. It was a RFP. We kind of scored the thing. Messford was low with the cost. They were low, or they serviced and installed the original units. So you know, it just seems like you know, it's a good thing for a good deal for the county. A lot of times they service most of the equipment in there when there's a problem with the chiller and anything else. They usually respond quickly, and you know, when you got days like today, that's pretty important, you know, to have heat. So I don't know what's anyone's thoughts on this. You know, the money would probably have to come out ahead of it. But you know, we did a lot of work on trying to put it together. It's something that's the system, the pneumatic system is probably over 60 years old. It did not get redone during the renovation in '96. So it's just something I think we're concerned about getting the parts. The whole courthouse isn't going to go down, but individual rooms could go down if the system, the pneumatic system, would fail. So each thermostat, you know, air goes to that thermostat, and then it opens up the valve to let that unit kick on. So it's kind of an antiquated system. So I think at some point it's probably going to have to be redone or renovated. It's probably not going to get any cheaper. If we would, you can see the bid spread in the proposals. It's probably going to be a lot more if we wait and redo it some other time. You know, it's not going to get any cheaper. I think we've got a fair proposal, trying to analyze it. And again, I think all the commissioners in maintenance and myself scored this thing and looked at all 3 bids and analyzed them. And we feel it's probably a good proposal, and I kind of recommend maybe we move forward with it.
I just think I'd rather do it on our terms like this than having to panic and rush and get it done when it goes out. I think everyone that's looked at it has been surprised it's still working. You know, and at some point we're going to have to do it regardless. I mean, it's a separate upgrade, and that's what I was asking. Like, you know, if we were to upgrade the whole system, this would also be an additional upgrade. No matter what we do, we're facing it.
If we would change out the air handling units.
Correct. I mean, it's still an additional, but at some point we'll have to bite the bullet and do it. And I think I would prefer to do it on our terms, so it's not on a 105-degree day. Then that work from home policy may have to be looked at.
Or today.
Or today when it's crazy.
It's blowing cold air right now.
It's on circuit, I think, or something.
So, I think,
No, now it's back to auto, so we'll see, you never, this is what we live with.
I think, just so everyone's, I know, one of the department heads came in and talked to us when we first looked at this. This is not gonna completely solve the issue of I'm cold and I'm hot, that somebody may have a fan under their desk or a heater under, that's not gonna completely solve it. It's just better control. It's gonna kick the units on it that the sensor thinks it's gonna need. It's just probably a better working environment for the courthouse. And but when you got an older building with windows that may not be the best and that kind of thing.
So what is it, a PLC running like electric actuators, or how's it gonna work? You said pneumatic, we're getting away from the pneumatic,
And it's
going
going
to electric actuators?
yeah, it would be power.
Centralized controlled board.
And they can, I think it's gonna be that you have a computer that you can read which ones are on, and they have to go in and replace the valves on each unit. So they'll be disturbing probably every department, because they gotta get up and change the valves for the unit, hook the wirings up and then get it back to the thermostats. So, and then the chiller and everything, I think is all rewired, and it's probably some, broadband type stuff too, And, we did check with them, with Mesmer, and they did say they would, if they have to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning or stay later, that they've got that considered. I mean, they're not gonna try to stick us for, additional hours, different overtime rate or something like that. But we have to work with it as a county. So, I know the bid is, or the cost proposal was $257,236. I was thinking of if we would vote on, I guess appropriating $260,000, even if something would come up that they run into an issue that, unforeseen when you're doing this kind of work, that they wouldn't have to come in here and hold up the progress of the job just because they're we're a couple thousand short or something. I mean, that money would come back to the county.
If you don't use it, it stays there.
So, questions or discussions? Hearing none, I guess we'll have a show of hands that advertise for $260,000 of lit. And I guess looks like everyone's in favor of it. So. Okay, and then that will we'll vote on it finally on our February 24th meeting when it is here, and then the commissioners will then approve it in their May and get a contract together in their March meeting.
Sandy, do you know if they ever test for radon gas over there, like the trouble they had down at Boonville with their courthouse? I just wondered. I mean, 96, they were, lead paint, everything's gone, but I was just curious when they did the revitalization if there was any potential that we could run into something that's costly or.
I have no idea.
To treat that, it's actually pretty cheap.
Is it?
I mean, a whole house,
You just move air.
you're just getting in the basement, the cylinder, I mean, it's probably $1,500.
Okay.
$2,000.
I just didn't know if they might find something like that. They could do it. I don't know.
What?
Probably there, who knows? No, I don't know.
I'd be worried about that if I was working in the basement.
Yeah.
We got enough air moving over there, trust me. The windows covered.
Just so the council's aware, this security cameras at the courthouse, we've got Astro Security looking at that there's an issue with, the cameras are, again, outdated. And they're gonna have to probably replace the cameras and so this, we can get the system going. So that's probably gonna be an issue again, that's gonna come up in the next month or the month after. Probably we have to get that.
The current computer system can't upgrade to Windows 11, which 10 is going out this fall. So it is definitely on the radar. We tried to do the system and it would not.
Yeah, I think all the wiring and everything's fine, but it's the replacement of the cameras, and I think they
In
were.
the brains of the system.
No patch for Windows 10 then.
It's so,
And I think they were gonna put a couple cameras on the annex here, down the side and the front, so they can monitor the security, courthouse security can monitor that. So just so you're aware of that. And then the next thing, I think I sent something out on the sheriff's commissary. We did get those. There's some question, like I mentioned in the email. So does anybody have any objection to us looking at that as the review committee? I think Meredith and Ryan and I to request additional information that we have questions on. Is that all right with everyone, or?
Yes. And I appreciate the timely reports received.
so the committee's still Brian and Sonia and you, or
If
Meredith
it's
and
okay
you?
with Meredith and Ryan and I did the first part of the month, the first 6 months, and I thought we'd finish out, then we could maybe decide as a council if we wanted to put put some other people on that. Are you, Alex and Doug, are you guys okay with continuing that?
Sure.
You could set a time to meet them if you wanted to.
Yes. So the encumbrances, do we want to touch on those? I think you put this out.
I gave each of you the list of encumbrances coming out. These are things that were either under contract, invoiced in 2024 that were not paid for in 24, so we're gonna carry that money across to 2025 and pay for.
How long has that ambulance been on
Well, we have one on there for quite a few years.
there? I know.
We had to order it, there's more than one, I think is there two yet, or is there just one?
I see one. Expensive.
Okay, so we just got two, but yeah, we had to order it ahead of time, so that can only be used for that ambulance.
And then we don't have any other ambulances on order, is this one?
Not that I'm aware of. I think he might have one in his budget for this year. I don't
That was the
remember.
retrofit, right? Where we kept the
Yes.
chassis.
One
I'm
of them
curious
was,
to see how that's going. The retrofit.
I can ask Ryan to come and talk to you if you want.
What's a fuel tax? I know what a fuel, how does the fuel tax refund work then? We've gotten so much of a refund, we're just gonna use it all? What is that?
Malcon
Mhm.
takes all the information and then they submit it and we get those back, and then we have to pay a percentage of that back to them, and we did not pay them yet, so that's what that is.
What they have been, or,
Malcon's a net vendor.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
No.
They work with the highway department.
Do you know what percent they can take?
I don't, I'd have to look at the contract.
Okay, I'd be interested in that.
The work you did, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
similar to that.
Yeah, just curious. which-
Ann would be the perfect person to talk to at the highway. She works with them.
Okay.
Okay, one of the other things I have on, I got an email from Region 15. Meredith, are you aware of that meeting
Yeah.
departments? So the way I read that, they want another, besides yourself, they want another member. I don't know if anyone else got to read that. But,
They emailed you today.
yes.
Yeah.
So is anybody interested in that? I think and maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but I mean, like the sewer district that we got going, those kind of things that that they could possibly help us with, or can you explain what they're after there a little bit?
In this meeting,
Yes, this.
I actually don't even have all the details of it yet. We're set to meet next week.
Okay.
So,
I mean, this is it's our meeting is on the 24th, so that's the day before, so I was
I would
wondering,
be interested.
you would be,
I would be, yes.
I think I mean, we've got a lot going on as a county, but the sewer district is one of the most extensive things we've got going, that we're gonna have to try to follow through with and get funding. And I thought maybe Region 15 could help us there possibly.
Definitely, right.
So maybe you'll respond without you want me to respond.
I can respond, that's
Okay.
fine.
And then Meredith,
Yeah,
naturally,
I will be there.
she's our appointee, so to the regional board. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Dina reached out to me. She would like to go to the legislative summary while I'm submitting her registration. Did anybody else want to go on February 4th and 5th?
4th and 5th, I believe
I
that's
believe
right.
that's correct.
I'm
Think about it, let me know.
gonna be able to make it. Thank you. Thanks for doing that also. That's
Sure.
it's usually pretty good. And I think we've done that a couple of years in a row, but it's kind of, it's good. It's a lot of travel for a short day day. Anyone else? Anything else to report?
Highway department was on top of it on the storm. Seemed like Donnie handled his first ice storm really well. I know we don't have nothing to do with it, but I have people complimenting how good the roads look, so. Yeah, they were even getting my road, and I'm like the only person who lives on it, so.
Yeah, they did do a good job. That was tough. That was a tough storm.
And if anybody is around on Friday, we will present that check to the Angel Memorial. Everything should be done. It's at 11 o'clock. We'll just present the check. Maybe they'll say a couple things, and that's it. That's 11 o'clock on Friday.
I hope the weather's nicer than now.
It is out there.
It's out there. Yeah, it'll be at the Memorial. Short, sweet, quick. Okay. Yeah, great.
I had a solid waste meeting this morning, and I don't know if you remember, like, a year and a half ago, they came to us for approval for money. They were looking for a truck to replace that Isuzu.
Yeah.
Which they've been looking this whole time and still have not found anything in their price range and decent. And so, it was discussed that I think we're gonna go back in front of the commissioners first to maybe ask for more money because they can't find anything for $20,000.
That's a tough ask.
Yeah, especially they don't want a big truck, and they found some really small ones, but it's not big enough, so they wouldn't be of any use. So I think they're going to probably be asking for additional funds to try and find something that's not already at the end of its lifespan, with way over 100,000 miles on it and not knowing what they're getting. And I think it's at the point now, they've had some more issues and they're not even driving it right now, so just want to give you an update on that.
Thank you.
But yeah, they've been looking for I think it's been almost a year and a half now.
We had a 911 advisory board meeting last week. The employees are doing, the new hired employees are getting their training checked off and getting off their probationary training status. So it seems to be going in the right direction, and they seem to be working really well and getting through their benchmarks and everything. There was some community concerns about different systems that we use as far as the paging, the VHF system and the 800 megahertz and some missed pages and stuff. Seems to be something we need to be working through to figure out a fix for it. There a lot of different people have ideas and opinions on different things, and I think we just need to pin down what would work and try to get some more people, vendors in to kind of look through some different options and stuff like that. Some of the issues were addressed with the upgrades that we did, but there were still some missed pages, even over the weekend, that things were not clear and stuff like that. So we're, the main person was in contact with me, and we'll talk with Chad, and he's also on board there, and we'll try to figure out like something going forward to try to see what we can do to do this.
Can I ask
One member.
is that something we could form a small committee to review this, people who understand this?
There could be a committee within the 911 advisory board.
Just curious if we'd have a committee
or something like
dedicated
that.
to finding.
I know everybody on the board is really wanting to get the right fix for it. It's just how are we going to do it? Because our county is just the hills and valleys and all that stuff. It's just hard to get all of that communication to every single area. Some areas 800 megahertz works best. Some areas VHF works best. Some areas it's kind of a combination. So, and we're also working on the 3 transmitters, 8 receivers, whereas Jasper is working on the smaller areas. So it's easier for them to kind of get their communication. But with us being spread out and using more equipment, it's just something we have to try to figure out. So,
What are the next steps then, did you say? Like,
well, I guess trying to get other vendors in to talk with them, discuss that. I was going to discuss more with Chad, with our commissioner, and just kind of see what we can do. Also with Stuart to try to see, because getting all 800 megahertz devices would be really pricey, and it still wouldn't solve the problem, I don't think. So just throwing money at it, it's not the solution.
I think we kind of just do that with the
We
tower.
did an upgrade and stuff, and it helped with the issues that we were looking at, and it's just.
That upgrade's all done, everything's installed.
It was done, when was it, January?
I was gonna say, we haven't paid the last payment, because I thought they were waiting on licensing or something.
I think the upgrades and all that stuff were completed and everything was done. It's just, yeah, like you said, it's been very recently, so.
Those incidents that had happened, were those prior to this upgrade?
A lot of them were.
I mean, I got one from this
But
week.
one was this weekend.
EMS, when they were stabbing, they didn't know where the stabbing occurred, so I
There
mean.
was also a fire.
And what I'll say too is Brad is, I know him personally, he is raising issues too because he cares. I mean, he knows this stuff inside and out. He can talk about things I'll never know about. And obviously he's raised the issue, but he is passionate about the well-being of people. So,
Yeah.
Well, he was one I was thinking if we had a committee with inside.
and you're not gonna get anything past him. He records these, takes videos, he knows everything. I mean,
He's the one that basically helped when the page went out and didn't go out to help facilitate getting the right people there and talking, being the go-between 911 or Jasper and the police and fire and all that stuff. So he is passionate and he has the best interests to try to get everything. He's really concerned about making sure that no one gets hurt, you know, from something not happening page not going out or something like that.
But conversely, if you remember when Jesus came in, the cost of those radios, he wanted us to buy on, those are 800 radios. And those aren't cheap. I mean, they're outrageously expensive. I think they work better. But,
Yeah. Yeah, they're thousands of dollars per radio, I think, or 1,500 or something like that.
And you'd have to give that to every volunteer.
I can't say, I don't know.
Well, and then they'd also have to carry the VHF and the other one just because of the amount of traffic and stuff. And it's a matter of also when one person's talking, some other people can't be talking at the same time. Or, you know, so they're taking up that channel or whatever you want to call it. And it's tough when you have EMS, you know, fire, 911, and all that stuff, and 2 different departments and all that stuff going on. So, and when you have a failed page going out or something like that, the line gets kind of held up at times too. So there's a lot of different working parts that need to be addressed. So
When you say page, is that just a?
there's a tone that goes out. It's and then it just says higher, whatever. It's not like someone talking. And that's different than someone actually talking on the radio. But I think if I'm understanding it right, the radio does use both of those. So that's why that's why there's issues there. I don't totally understand it. Brad probably totally understands it and could come circles around me and all that, but and that's just the VHF. And it seems like that is something that we need for certain areas of the county and to make sure those pages go out, and we just need to make sure that happens. So
We're still working on a solution.
we're trying. We had a meeting that the meeting was for several different things, but that took up the majority of the time. It was a long time of discussing different opinions and aspects and what works for some townships and what works for others, and trying to figure out where to go from this point on. So,
How many people are on the 911 advisory board? I mean, I know like the fire chief at St. Anthony's.
fire chiefs are on there, and then there's
All
Let me
fire
see.
chiefs are.
let me see, hold on. I have a list of people that were there, and I think there were only a couple people that were missing. There were 9 members present, and then other people as far as employees. Usually there's another representative in 911 that takes the minutes and stuff. So probably about 10 or so people that are on that board. I think a couple people are missing, but there were 8 or 9 there at that meeting. So it's Jasper Police Department, all the police chiefs, Sheriff's Department, Commissioner, Council, Steward, all the people that are involved in that.
So what I was getting at with Ryan's asking, to have a committee, you kind of got a committee.
This is what it's
You know,
for, so we
to-
just,
I mean,
And they all understand this stuff more than obviously us, and
Yeah.
what we're needing. I mean,
yeah, it was talked, we went in depth about, a lot of the things that people were seeing, and people had their opinions on what they think is best for their area and stuff, and what would work and what doesn't work and stuff.
and the fire chiefs are all in agreement with what we got, what we're doing. I mean, everyone is is everyone agreeing that we got the best we got?
No, and that's what we're looking for. Yeah, no one, that everybody knows that there can be improvements done, and just figuring out how to do that to where we can get all the system to work all together and work for everybody. What fix is going to happen if it works for everybody, and that's where it's tough because different areas have different needs and different geographic limitations and stuff.
And then you got a state house bill that I just read that I think maybe fire departments are gonna come under county control as the townships are dissolved. So how will that affect? I mean, maybe we'll be more involved in it. I don't know.
I just saw that too.
A lot of changes could
A lot of bills out there.
So thanks for sharing that. I think we all got touched on that, some of that communication, so. Anything else? Which is good as the council. On this TIF thing or this, that Honeybird wants to do, economic revitalization area, could you maybe scan that and send it out to the council? So if anyone would want to, maybe attend that meeting or call Paul Lake, I think we ought to at least find out about that. I just feel, we won't have any properties to tax pretty soon if they're all gonna get TIF. So otherwise, Sandy, do you have anything?
I do not.
Public, we don't have any public comment tonight, so, our next meeting is February 24th at 4:30. I'll entertain a motion then, if there's nothing else, close the meeting.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Doug and Alex, so all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Close the meeting. Thank you all. The confidence you put in me for president.